All right. So today we have Coach Ginn with us. Coach Ginn is the head football coach at Bethel High School. He's also the powerlifting coach there. Coach has been gracious enough to come on and talk some of their three safety stuff they've kind of transitioned to. This will be more of a probably clinic than podcast oriented talk. But again, I will jump on if I have any questions. So Coach Ginn, without further ado, the floor is yours, Coach.
All right. Well, first off, thanks for having me. Great thing that you do with your, everything you do with the podcast, the YouTube channel, and all that stuff. So always willing to help anytime. So I'm here today. I'm going to talk a little bit about a three safety dime. It's something that we kind of came up with more out of necessity than anything. So first off, kind of why do it? And like I said, we kind of came to it just 100% out of necessity. It was 2020. We had four of our defensive linemen that either started or rotated that get caught up in a close contact quarantine. And so, we essentially were looking for answers. Our bodies were secondary bodies. Our bodies were linebacker bodies. And so we were trying to figure out what can we do with our remaining defensive linemen. Two that we were missing were starters. And so, what were we going to do with our guys that kind of gave them, an advantage, being that they weren't starters and maybe a little bit smaller and some of that sort of thing. And so what we started doing on a weekend is we kind of started just toying with it. My background, I'm an odd stack guy from my past when it kind of first came out with the West Virginia and the Tulsa stuff. And so, I know a little bit about it. Obviously when we played it back then, we were cover three and man free. And so wanted to have a little bit with what we knew in the secondary from our 4-3. So wanted to kind of make it to where we could use that. So just kind of why, first off, like I said, it kind of started from necessity for us. But what we liked about it is it gave us kind of some multiple front possibilities. What you're going to see us doing in some of the video is you'll see us doing some slanting. You'll see us playing a nose and 2-4s, nose and 2-5s, which we probably do more out of it now. But honestly, you can make of it what you want to make with it, with the three safety look in the secondary. But again, allows us to move. I could kind of bring some of my old school odd stack zone dog philosophies with the front and blitzes and some of that kind of stuff. I have on here blitzes through the roof. Honestly, it's one of those things where you can make it work as much as you can with a 6-man box. There's really an unlimited amount of possibilities that you could run with it. And what we felt like is it gave us a security in the secondary. You're going to see kind of some of the coverage stuff that we do. And by having the multiple coverage looks, whatever we do in the front, we feel like we're secure in the secondary. The other big thing that it allowed us to do is it allowed us to get 2-on-1s and 3-on-2s. The team that we actually ended up using it against first, they had two, 6'3", 6'4" receivers that stood on the outside. They were really tough to match up against. And by doing this, it gave us the ability, to really outnumber them in the passing game. But the biggest thing that I would say that for us, why do it is we make it fit our scheme, and we make it fit our personnel. We've played more of a linebacker kid as our dime safety. We've played more of a secondary coverage type kid as our dime safety. So essentially what we like about it is we can make it fit, our normal scheme and our personnel. So just kind of some key thoughts that I have, in doing it for 2 years now, that I feel like will help you create success in this three safety dime. And this is something that honestly in game planning and in putting stuff together, I have to remind myself with this very first one. It's a minor for us. It's not a major. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that it remains a minor in our teaching. We try, like I said, we try to make it as close as I can to to what we do, using our normal secondary coverages and a lot of that kind of stuff. And so what we have to make sure of is that we keep it a minor in our teaching. The other thing, I think a lot of coaches, it's real easy to make sure that when you're scripting, and we joke about it all the time, but it's real easy to make sure that when you're scripting things, to make sure that, Monday through Thursday, that every call you make, stops whatever they're doing. But at the end of the day, I think you've got to show your kids the weaknesses. If something's not good against a post route, you've got to show them a post route, because, if we don't show them that Monday through Thursday, at least once or twice through the week, then how do they know what to do once they actually see it on Friday night? And so I think it's important to rep it against both the strengths and the weaknesses. Run the ball where you're weak at it. Throw a bubble out there where you think you might be weak against the bubble, so your kids see it and they can react to it. Again, for us, the biggest thing is we try to create a carryover from our base package. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel with this. It's something we do to gain an advantage, to get a different look, to stop, something particular on a 3rd and long or whatever it is. So obviously we want to make sure that we create carryover from our base package, and what we're saying to our kids, our vocabulary doesn't change. The other thing, and we really kind of found this to be of importance this year for us. What we've done is, I know it says 7-on-7 and inside periods geared strictly to the 3 safety dime, but basically what we've done is we've sort of divided up, the weeks that we know we're going to play a lot of it. We'll divide up, that 7-on-7 period. We'll allot a specific amount of time to it. We'll divide up, we'll allot a certain amount of time in our inside period to being in dime, and just kind of going from there, so that it's not, and we rep it every week, at least about 5 minutes. So, our kids are familiar with it. It's not like, we're only going to pull it out when we need it. We've at least repped it in 7-on-7, 5 minutes a week or so, and called it a few times in teams. So, they're getting reps with it each week. The other thing is I would tell you that what looks good on paper may not look good on the field. And I think that goes back to the carryover. It goes back to, the teaching process of it. Again, coming from an odd stack and a zone dog, background, I've drawn several things up, and then, you get there and you think it looks really good. And all of a sudden, wow, it doesn't look real good. Like for instance, this year we were going to try something one game, and team was a big RPO team, and we were going to get in 4s, and we were going to slide our backers, and we were going to play man free and try to keep 2 high safeties. And then my coach that runs scout team quarterback pulls his own read and ran till he hit his head on the goalpost, and that got scrapped real quick. Once we figured out we didn't truly have a quarterback player, we didn't like it, and we didn't do it. But I would say that, along those lines, don't be afraid to tinker with things in practice. Early in the week, if you think something looks good, if you think you can teach it, if you find a carryover, look at it, because it's real easy after Monday practice to walk in and say, hey guys, we're not going to do that, or Tuesday. I mean, I'm not saying scrap the whole thing, but 1 or 2 things, it's definitely worth looking at. And then the last thing, and this was kind of unique to me, and you'll see in the film, but don't be afraid to use it against heavy formations. We were playing a team and this year, and we kind of wanted to have a different look on them, and we'd had some success in our dime, and so honestly, we kind of got to looking, and truthfully, we played a bear front, and we were trying to find the closest thing to a bear front without having to teach a whole lot of adjustments when they were giving us different formations. And honestly, we drew this up on the board, and we liked it. I mean, the thing about it, we were able to get 9 guys in the box, and anytime that team's going to line up in heavier formations and be able to get 9 guys in the run box, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable with it, truthfully. So, look at it, draw it up, and if you like it against heavy formations, then, don't be afraid to use it. So this is kind of the initial process of it. We just called a 44 and we played a lot of cover two in our secondary. And so it was a very easy teaching for us. What we thought with the fours and the reason why we initially started with the fours, our thought process is what we do is we'd make everything bounce to our outside linebackers. And so, we thought we could get them out there, get them, to where they could get under number two. And then we had that safety. We really teach it just like we do cover two with our two outside safeties and our corners. And then what we tell our middle safety is essentially we teach him just like we would teach a Tampa 2 Mike. We line him up at, anywhere from 8 to 10 yards, depending on what we're trying to take away. And again, we just kind of used him as that extra guy. There's times that we line him up on the backside. There's times we'll line him up to the field, times we line him up to trips. It's kind of a week to week thing really on where we cheat that guy. But with the 44 thing and trying to get our linebackers out wide, and I think you see it on film, but we just kind of felt like we were better off, and we felt like that our backers could still get under number two if we played fives. And what we did is we hipped our backers off our defensive ends. And so really, the coverage aspect of the cover two thing stayed the same, but we just kind of changed it in terms of how we aligned to our doubles kind of as we evolved, or a front, I should say. This is again the cover two look to trips. It's really exactly the same. The difference is where we're playing our middle safety. Again, we're just trying to get, we're trying to use this guy, our middle safety, as far as, that guy's there to help us where we're weak, so that's kind of the whole concept behind it. The other thing that we did, we roll a lot out of our 4-3 to trips, and I'm talking the old school cover three roll. And so our safeties already knew how to roll down. Our corners already knew how to play the deep third. And so what we did is, to gain an extra hat in the run game, is we started rolling. We call roll. And when we called roll, we were real simple. We just told the safety that, obviously it's something you could change, but, we told we're going to roll to the field. We could roll to the back, or obviously if it's trips, we would roll to the trips. And it was simple teaching. Basically what we did is the safety that's down, he plays roll. And then the other safeties and the other corners, they play just like we do our typical quarters. We're still, the old school quarters team. We don't play a bunch of read quarters, but we're still just like, Michigan State and those guys teach it. I mean, that's kind of what we're teaching. And so it allowed us to be able to, again, dude, all you're doing is playing roll. And then all you other four guys are doing is you're playing cover four, and it helped us out. It gave us that flat player down to the strong side. Our Sam didn't have to get as wide. So he didn't have to, remove as much from the box, still give us, 6 in the box. And so, again, it just a different look for us. Here's, the roll to trips. Again, he's doing the same thing he'd roll. We're still playing quarters everywhere else. So kind of simple from that. So in 2020, we did play quite a bit of palms. We had guys that we felt like, were capable of doing it. And so essentially what we did is we were playing a heavy RPO team. And so really what we did is we played palms, and by playing palms, what it allowed us to do is it allowed us to handle the RPO game by playing palms. And then what we did, this is when we had more of a linebacker type kid playing our middle safety. And so it allowed us to get an extra dude in the box. And so what we did is we kind of actually cheated him. We were really concerned with this team's quarterback running the football. And so what it allowed us to do is we told that dime safety that he was going to be either to the trip side or he was going to be on the backside. And, he was our extra quarterback player. And so essentially what it gave us is 5 guys that played the dive with, our 3 down lineman and our play side middle linebacker. And then we had our backside linebacker and our extra safety that they were there essentially to handle the quarterback pull in the zone read game, knowing that we felt like we were okay playing palms on the outside. So we carried it over. We kind of lost him a little bit as far as our middle safety when we went, palms to trips. Some people call this mini. If you follow Coach Mack, he calls it mix. And so, what we did, again, this was something we had already done to trips. So we just rolled that dime safety out. We let our dime safety and our safety remaining on the trip side. They read number 3, played it like palms. And then we manned up our corner on number 1. And then what we did on the backside is we allowed our safety a little bit of freedom, depending on where the ball was on the field. If the ball was to the boundary, he could cloud it. And so we could, look at the cover 2 look, or we could play, true quarters on the backside, again, depending on split of the receiver, depending on alignment as far as where the ball was on the field. And so, again, trying to take what we normally do and put it out there to where our kids could make the best of it. And it allowed us the opportunity to get more defenders on your receivers than what you had, and still be sound in the run game is how we felt with it. So this year we were a really, really heavy man team. And so, honestly, I would say our, base coverage, if you're going to be in doubles, if you're going to be in pro, if you're going to be in 20 personnel, anything like that, we were going to play man. We were good at corner, and we had safeties that, had been corners early on in their career. And so we felt like we were good enough at man coverage that really man was our base coverage. And so this is when we kind of started building things this year. We played the cover 2 stuff to start. We didn't play palms, so we actually didn't play any of the palms this past year. But having the base, we taught this every day. Our kids knew how to play, our man coverage. Now, the difference between our dime and the difference between our base, it was 0. And out of dime, it turned into cover 1. We used that dime safety. This year, our dime safety was more of a cover guy. And so we used him again to, we used him as a robber on occasion in the RPO game, or we used him, as more of a high safety to help us in terms of defending, helping on the inside. Again, our corners were some of our better cover guys. And so we really felt like they were okay out by themselves. But this is where we felt like, and this is where, I talk about making sure if you're going to minor in it, because once we started drawing up man coverage, man, there was a lot of blitzes, there was a lot of stunts, there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to do, going back to my background as a zone dog guy. And I kind of had to peel it back a little bit. I had to look at, okay, are we spending too much time? Can we teach all this, and still be good at our base? And so this is where, I'm talking about, it gives you the ability really to do as much as you want to do moving forward. And then all we did on trips, we didn't want to teach a whole lot. We were teaching our right safety and our left safety. We already taught them man. They already did a bunch of man drills. And so our adjustment was we just took that safety over and we would move our dime safety where we needed to move him. So, that's some of the stuff you'll see on film. We even talked about, and one of the things you'll see on film, we talked about, what do we do with motion? How do we handle motion? I think anytime you start doing some of this stuff, how do you handle motion? How do you handle tight ends? And some of that stuff has to be a part of your discussion, which, became ours as we move forward. And so, honestly, when we started playing our man stuff, how we handled motion this year, and you'll see it on film, we just ran with motion. And, because again, we didn't want to teach somebody else, the alignments and the intricacies of of being the middle safety guy. And honestly, our middle safety wasn't a cover guy. And so that's why, I mean, he could do it, but he wasn't as good as our other two guys doing it. So, again, it's about your personnel and what you do and that sort of thing. So, okay, I'm going to try to get to some video here, and then I'll go back. I've got my contact information here at the end.
Okay,
So
Coach.
I'll answer any questions you guys have.
Coach, while you're transitioning, I mean, I'll just ask a couple questions right now. Is why? I mean, you mentioned a little bit you're covering your kids, but was there any other motivation for moving from Palms more man? Was it just the skill set? Was it because it may be easier to teach? Why do you make that transition?
Well, to be honest, we're a small 2A program. Our kids play both sides of the ball. We try as much as we can once we get into our season, not to extend beyond an hour on either side of the ball.
Okay.
And so what we felt like is, we're already teaching cover 2, we're already teaching cover 4. We're already doing man drills each day. And so, in my opinion, if you're going to be a Palms team, I think that's got to be what you do. I think you start with Palms as your base and you build from there. And to be honest with you, Palms was something we did. It wasn't what we did.
Okay.
And I just felt like we didn't allot enough time to teaching it in practice. And, the thing about man coverage, if you're playing man coverage and you get beat because the guy's a better athlete, you got beat because the guy's a better athlete. In Palms, a lot of times you get beat because your guy doesn't understand and doesn't react properly.
Okay.
And so that was, like I said, I felt like we were good enough athletes that, we could we as a staff, my staff does way more than I give them credit for. But, as a staff, we just felt like we were good enough at corner, and we were good enough at safety with the guys, like I said, that, this year we had, where in 2020, our safeties really were outside linebackers. I mean, that was their skill set, where 2021, our safeties were corners, so that's kind of why we felt like it was just better for us. All right. So here we go. I'm just going to kind of show you this. Now, again, this was the very first game that we used this. So this was, I talk about out of necessity. I love this kid, but there was a reason that this kid was a nose guard when we went dime, and he didn't play just a whole lot. I guess you probably can't see my pointer. I don't know, maybe you can, but I'm talking about the little bitty nose guard here if you can't. But anyway, so this is just kind of our first look, and we're playing our cover 2 look. Okay, so number 3, that's going to be our middle safety here. He actually at this point was one of our corners. We had the corner up the top. That kid was an all-state wide receiver for us, and actually at this time, this was the first game he played defense. So you're going to see kind of some flaws that he makes. I mean, like I said, he's playing cover 2, and you can already see he's inside leverage and he's turned inside. So, you're going to see some flaws. I'm going to tell you that. Okay. Number 7, that's our safety up the top. He actually is now our Sam linebacker. This was his sophomore year, and he played safety for us. And then number 10 that you see on the hash, again, this is the first game we ran it. What I really would like for him to do, he's playing cover 2 like base. And so we put him on the hash. We put him at 12 yards. We backpedal at 45 off the hash. What you're going to see here in our dime, if you notice, number 7's wider and number 10 is narrower. We would like to see them both a little bit wider off of the hash, because they have to be able to get over the top of number 1. Okay. And then number 24 down at the bottom, again, this was his first game to play defense. This was actually his first year to ever play football. This was his junior year in this film. This is 2020. And so, again, this is kind of why everything we did when we first started doing this was, we've got to make this as simple. We've got to keep it as much like our base as possible, because we had so many guys that we were, trying to coach up and in a short amount of time. So another thing that you're going to notice the difference in the 2020 film and in the 2021 film. In 2020, and I coach our linebackers, I call our defense still as the head coach. But in 2020, we had some outside linebackers that I felt like the easiest way to teach them was to match routes. And so they would drop to a route. Now, we weren't running vertical with them or things like that, but like my number 44, my Sam backer here that's up the top, he should be dropping to number 2. He should be collisioning, taking away the vertical of number 2 on the pass. Number 8 at the bottom, he only has 1 receiver, so he should be dropping to the inside hip of the number 1 receiver. And then our Mike linebacker, he should be dropping and matching number 3 here. And so we actually adjusted, and you'll see later on, we actually had to adjust. I mean, honestly, I've taught matching routes for probably the last 8 years. And I had a group of linebackers that I just didn't feel like this year that it wasn't getting through. You know, we did 7-on-7 this summer. You know, the first couple of games, it just actually was the first game. So we had 2 scrimmages and a game where it hadn't set in. And so we actually went to spot drops. And so here you're going to see us matching routes. But then later on, you're going to see us actually spot dropping. And truthfully, I'm not sure which one I like better at this point. So I guess what I'm telling you is don't be afraid to teach something to help your kids out, because I think our kids got better once we started teaching them spot drops with this group of kids. So anyway, so here we are. We're playing our cover 2 look. Again, I'd like to see number 11 up the top. You know, he's a cover 2 corner. He shouldn't let that guy get outside. But this clip's on here because our corner does a good job. You know, we don't do a lot of jamming. But what we want him to do is we want him to sink and be able to be underneath of that smash route. And then again, this is a good job, although our safety, I'd like to see him wider at the beginning, but he does a good job of getting over the top. And then the other thing that I like is this middle safety. You know, we're telling him he's reading the quarterback. You know, so this is a trips formation, but he knows right now that quarterback's throwing over here. And so he does a good job of being there. Now, the quarterback, you know, I don't know. I would give credit to our kid for being there and making him make that throw. But, you know, it's always good when a quarterback makes a throw like that to help you out. Okay, so here it is. Same game. Again, see us. We're playing our cover 2 look. Here you can notice number 10. We finally got him to widen out a little bit. But again, they're trying to throw the screen, and this is what we knew they were going to do. We were trying to take away their number 1 receiver. And so that's what, you know, we got out of that play. Now, again, that kid, that was his first game to play offense, and he's an all-state receiver. So tackling wasn't his strength, but he did just enough to let everybody else get there and actually make the tackle. Okay, so here, this is a roll look. So the safety is rolled down up top. Number 10's rolled down. This guy should be deeper. The corner up top should be deeper. And you know, we still have our quarters look. Now, again, I told you we had a corner playing safety. This safety that's actually in the middle of the field, he heard roll and he thought roll thirds. He should have been out over number 2 playing a quarters look. But we do have a quarters look at the bottom, as you can see. So our flat defender is actually this outside linebacker. You know, does a pretty good job. Like see him run through the inside. You know, decent reaction by our Mike linebacker. He's still keying the quarterback too long, but it works out and it gets us there. But, you know, say what you want about, you know, protection and reading what you read, but I love this clip because if you see number 7, he knows he's a deep quarter defender. So he sees number 2 go out and his eyes go to 1. And then when he sees number 1 coming back in, he's making sure number 2's not running a route. And then he's the one that ends up coming down here and making the tackle. And that's part of why that kid moved to Sam backer for us this year. But anyway, all right. So I think, okay, so this is roll again. So again, you see the safety is rolled down at the top. You see our backside, it's a trips formation. So we've got 2 over 1 with the corner and the safety playing deep. We've got the linebacker underneath him in the Willie. And then we end up getting 4 over 3 with the corner, the safety, the outside backer, or yeah. And the Mike backer. working to the trip side. Makes the quarterback pull it down. You know, I mean, nothing's open. There's a lot of bodies. I know we're blitzing 3 with the front, but you know, when a quarterback doesn't have anything open, he pulls it down, and it's fun to make a play. All right, so this game here, I think this is I actually think we're playing Reed, and I think somehow down at the bottom we end up playing quarters. But this to me is kind of this is what, to me, this does for you. I mean, you can see we've got so it's a wheel route. They're trying to throw a wheel, and then they try to sit that guy down. We end up with 3 guys underneath a wheel route. Probably not what I'm going to throw at that quarterback. This game here, we actually set a record for most interceptions in a game. So again, this is a good look at our cover 2. 24. This was our first round playoff game last year, so he was a little more seasoned than he was that very first game he had to start. But we actually funneled in this game, and did a good job getting deep, and then sinks to the underneath what would be the corner route by number 1, I guess. And this quarterback doesn't have anywhere to go with it. We end up sacking him, and you can see we've got 3 guys rushing. I mean, we're not doing anything fancy. That's the old covered sack. He went to throw it, pulled it down, and they end up recovering it. I think maybe we did. I guess we did on that one. But anyway. Okay, so I put this on here because this is empty. And so we kind of did a few different things to empty. And I will tell you that this game was an utter fiasco. Our number 7 kid actually got hurt, and so we didn't actually get to use him in this game. And so we really didn't find that out until our game day Friday. And so we had to move our quarterback to our middle safety, who'd worked it a little bit through the week, and you know, kind of arrange things, you know, otherwise. But we're supposed to be playing Reed here to empty is what we're supposed to be doing. Our corner over here is playing our corner up top. I'm not real sure. Both our corners are just getting the heck out of there. I think this was late in the half, to be honest with you. But again, I mean, we're protected. I mean, you can see they're trying to get a lot of vertical routes, and we've got 5 dudes deep, so we're protected to defend a vertical route there. Now this was in the second half. Again, I think I know we're playing Reed here. Because you can see, yeah, as a matter of fact, I know we're playing Reed. Because you can see this corner. I mean, he sees number 2 go vertical. He knows he has one, and he comes down. Again, this kid didn't play as much defense in 2020 as he did in 2021, but, you know, does a good job. And I understand they completed a pass, but, you know, it gave us a better opportunity. If we're playing our base 4-3, that Willie linebacker is responsible for that out route, and there's no way he's getting there, you know. So it just allows us the opportunity to do other things. So this is kind of the first play, and I put this on here because, you know, again, I wasn't real convinced with it a whole lot against the run. And this right here, this is a 20 personnel look. You know, again, I've got number 11 down at the bottom playing corner that's not physical at all. And if he's physical at all, we probably tackle this for no gain or behind the line of scrimmage, but he's not physical. And then we've got a cover 2 safety. Number 10 is playing a cover 2 safety, and you'll see him get downhill and fit in the run game that, you know, most teams probably aren't going to, it's not going to happen that way. So, all right. So this was the game I talked about it, and you're going to see we did a whole lot of things out of this against this team. This is the team that number 15 was their quarterback. They were a heavy RPO team. And so we actually, this was kind of the first time we played man out of this. So this is a man look. You can see number 7 in the middle of the field. He's reading the mesh. And so if he gets any kind of a run, you see him step down, he's thinking run right now. He's the extra quarterback defender. But again, we're playing man. We teach man. We actually teach way more man this year than we did last year. But we took away what they were trying to do. They were trying to run, a cover two beater. I think they thought we were going to be in cover two. They thought they were going to run their cover two beater. And by playing man, by being able to do something different, we make the kid make a tough throw, and he doesn't make it. We couldn't find a football in the air in the lights on this night. It's the brightest lights we've ever seen in our lives. Okay, so this is going to be something special. So this was a special thing. This slot receiver here at the bottom, he's a D1 dude. This was his sophomore year in 2020. I think he already has like 10 Power 5 offers as a defensive end. And so they would put him at that slot receiver, and they do one or two things. They'd throw the now route to him out there when the running back was on his side, or they would motion him and run jet when the running back was away from him. So what we told our corners, if he lined up in the slot and the running back was on his side, we were going to do what we called cut. And so what you'll see is you'll see our corner, he's cutting. He's running right to his outside right now, and our safety should be over the top of him. And again, what they try to do is they try to throw the now route to him, and you'll see our corner right there to make the play. Now, again, that dude's a Power 5 athlete. I love our corner. He's not a Power 5 athlete. So, the breaking down and making the tackle thing, I mean, we held it to 4 yards. I mean, that was it was better than that dude going 84 yards. It was kind of our thought process through the thing. So anyway, just kind of a difference in the look. Okay, so here it is against the run. And again, here's where I'm talking about. We have 2 quarterback players. Now, we kind of talked to number 7, and through the week, we felt like we could trust him to read the mesh. So you can see he actually ends up in on the run fit. He knew it was given. We told him, you don't go anywhere till you know that ball's handed off or pulled. And you can see here we're playing our I think it looks like we're playing man here. Again, so we felt like the man took away the RPO game. We've got somebody on the bubble. We've got somebody, if they run the out, they like to run outs and things like that off their bubbles, slant routes. And so we were covered. We had a backside linebacker to take the quarterback. We had an extra quarterback player, number 7, who ends up here being the extra mesh player. And then, we've got our sandbacker did a really poor job right there of getting blocked. So again, here we're playing man. They thought we were going to play a lot of cover 2. Now, this is just poor technique, to be honest with you. I mean, it's on here. We're there. He's in position, but truthfully, he does a bad job. See how he turns his hips? We teach an elbow in our man coverage, and he's reaching with both hands. He really should only be reaching with his inside hand, and should be touching that inside shoulder with his inside hand. And, luckily they make a bad throw. But, part of it is I feel like that quarterback was expecting cover 2 and didn't get cover 2. And then, had to throw a little further than he thought he would. Okay, so here's a good look at our cover 2. This is a drive concept, or if you're an air raid guy, it's a shallow concept. But again, we're defending everything with a cover 2 look with our 3 high safeties. Now, again, I'd like to see the safety up top wider. He has no reason to hesitate on that in route. He's read release at number 2. When he knows 2's vertical, his eye should go to 1 and see that 1's vertical, and he should be splitting them at worst case. But anyway, we force a bad throw, and again, we rush 3 guys. We get pressure on a quarterback because of coverage, and it works out. Okay, so this is going to be another RPO. Start of the series. It's always important to left tackles on the field. Our Sam is too wide here, to be quite honest, but that kid was fast. He could get back in. And so he played wider. But again, you can see the RPO game, that quarterback, this was, I guess it was in the third quarter. So at this point, he knew if I pulled it, there's nowhere, there's a guy waiting on me to run. So, I mean, number 8's there in the run fit. And this is a good job by our corner, defeating the block, making the play, bubble into the boundary. Okay, kind of the same exact concept. It's just a quick screen, not an RPO, but you can just kind of see how it all folds out. And this was our fear when we first went to this, was can the outside linebacker get underneath number 2? Can the outside linebacker be that inside out guy if they run a bubble screen or a now screen or something like that? And we read the offensive line. So as soon as he sees that high hat, again, we were reading routes at this point. He sees that high hat and his eyes went to number 2. Sees number 2 on a bubble. He does a great job running inside out and being there, to make the play. Okay, so this is the exact same team. This is this year. You'll see that this is the first play of the game. Okay, so they actually, if you notice, it's the power 5 receiver out here at number 1. This year when he was number 1, they ran him vertical, and so our 23 is supposed to get a lot better hands on him and help, but our number 3 does a good job of getting over the top of him. Okay, I hate that we gave up an outside release. There's no way in our cover 2 we should ever give up an outside release. I'm not real sure why 23 is going to number 2 that quick. But again, he sinks, which helps, makes the quarterback throw the ball. Is a great play by our safety in getting wider to be able to at least break up the pass. Okay, so again, you see it right here. Our number 8's our quarterback player. They actually tried blocking him with the tackle. It was kind of an interesting concept. But what it did is it really freed up our defensive end. And this is a great play by our defensive end. And he's dive responsible, and he sees the dive doesn't have the ball, peels off. But you can see we're playing man here in the secondary. So we've taken away the RPO by playing man. And then there's number 3 showing up on the screen. That's I don't know who that is. Anyway, that safety right there, that's our middle safety. That's 24. He's there. Again, he's the extra quarterback fitter, and he's there if it ends up getting to him. If we played a team that handed it off a lot, we'd probably tell that guy, hey, you're helping us in the run game. You're helping on the back. All right, so this I talked about. We went to a spot drop. Okay, so again, if you notice, number 7, our Sam linebacker up top, does a great job getting down the hash. Our Mike linebacker, he really should have opened the other way, but he's a freshman, so he's learning. He ends up in the right place, makes the kid elevate the ball. We get a good drop by our Will here, getting to his hash. And what we do is we make that kid, by being in our zones where it looks like really we should be, in a cover 2 look. That's our weakness, right? But we've coached our kids up to the point of you've got to be at that spot. They get to that spot, quarterback elevates the ball, we end up getting an interception. Okay, so this play, I actually purposely put this on here. Okay, we're playing man coverage, and at the end of the day, here's the thing: sometimes the offense eats groceries too. Our defensive end's a step too late. Kid gets a throw off, makes a perfect throw. You can't throw that ball any better than that right there. And mind you, this throw he actually made into about a 25, 30 mile an hour wind as well. So makes it even more impressive. That kid is a stud at quarterback. But that's a great throw, great catch. Our kid came off after that play. We told him, hey man, you did a great job. They just made a great play. So, sometimes that happens. That's why we play the game, is what Herm Edwards says, right? Okay, so here, and I put this on here. I don't even know what happens, but I put this on here because this is kind of the first, and honestly, all we're doing is we are slanting our front weak and we're bringing our Sam linebacker. So essentially what we're doing is we're slanting to an even front is essentially what we're doing. We're slanting the nose to a weak side A gap. We're slanting the weak side defensive end. He's basically playing an anchor. We don't slant him much, but he's a 5. Okay. We're bringing our strong side defensive end. He's becoming a 3 technique essentially because he's slanting to that B gap. And then we're bringing the Sam off the edge. Again, Sam's the quarterback player because he's the linebacker on the running back side. He's quarterback player. So we're just presenting that quarterback with a different look. We're telling him now, you have to give the ball. Where typically, what we're hoping the quarterback does is pull it because we've got 2 for him. Now we're telling him you probably should give that ball because we're bringing somebody off the edge. And again, we're still playing man, so we've got the RPO handle. Just feel confident in what we're doing. I'd like to see us tackle better, but that running back's pretty darn good himself. So, all right. Again, this is a better look at it, and this team got really wide splits. And honestly, our 2 defensive ends were really good at coming off the edge. So you'll notice our inside linebackers here, our Sam and our Will, we actually lined up in the box. We kind of told them you're essentially a B gap defender, and kind of went with that. It's a good look at our cover 2 look. This is one of those, hey man, if we can cover everything else and their only open guy is that running back checking at 5 yards, 2nd and 10 right there. Okay. Actually, I guess we tackled him. I mean, we just made it 3rd and 6. I'll take 3rd and 6 if that's what I have to see. Okay, this is the play I talked about. We're playing man coverage. So our answer was honestly 23. If we didn't have to use him playing man coverage, we didn't want to. We knew 19 was really good at man coverage. We let him run with the guy in motion. Okay, when they motion, and the other thing is what they were going to do off their motion. Okay, when they motion, they weren't running jet sweep. Okay, they were running jet sweep. We're probably not going to run with a motion. But what they did is they used that guy as an RPO, and you can see we felt like we had time, to get there out of our number 19. But this is a great job. I mean, he very easily could have come off, tried to take in the dive or take the quarterback, and he just runs where he's supposed to run and ends up making a tackle for loss on a screen pass. I guess the kid gained a couple yards, but anyway. Okay, again, I put this on here, and I don't even know what happens in the secondary, but again, you can see now this time what we're doing is we're slanting. This is our Willie coming off the edge, and we're slanting strong. Okay, so now instead of slanting away from the back, now we're slanting to the back. So now what we're thinking RPO game wise, all right, we're going to slant. And so now we're going to make that quarterback, we're slanting to him. So now we're going to make that quarterback give it, and he's going to run it right into our slant. We run past him. He kind of scrambles out, but, again, we end up, I don't remember, they gained a couple of yards when we tackled him. Okay, now, so this was 100% a run blitz. Okay, what we're doing, we call this a twist. So we're bringing both of our defensive ends now become our contained guys. Both our linebackers are now our B gap blitzers. It's a lot better job by the Willie than it is the Sam. Sam gets hung up, gets blocked. He really should be underneath. And this was an adjustment we made where early in the game, he was burying himself underneath the tackle. Late in the game, what we told him was, hey, don't run underneath that. That was kind of our halftime adjustment because he'd run underneath it and there was a seam between that end and the running back, he could cut through between that end and that tackle. And so we actually told him, hey, man, you just stay right there. And if that running back would have cut, we had somebody for it. Okay, again, another good look at the RPO. Notice where the quarterback runs this. I mean, this is 100%. He's trying to run it back to our sideline. Instead, we get him pulled up and he runs where we got a whole lot of bodies. And again, that kid's a really good player. He gains 2 yards out of that. But you know, this is another one of those they grocery two plays. You know, we're playing man coverage. Great job by our number 3 as far as being in position. You know, sometimes they're really good athletes and they make plays too. That kid, you know, I think after this play, we started playing 2-on-1 all the time against him because he made 2 just amazing catches right there. Okay, again, I mean, this is on here because if you notice, you know, we're playing man, we're right where we need to be. I mean, that's got to be a perfect throw and a perfect catch in a tough situation down there for our guys, for that to be complete. Okay, again, we rush 3, we get a sack, and it's 100% coverage. We get guys where they're supposed to be in the coverage. There's nobody open. Kid pulls it down. He scrambles. We've got a defensive end doing a good job. You know, I'd like to see him not run past him as much, but I mean, we run the play to our nose guard to make a huge sack there on 2nd and 10. All right, so this is where I talked about, and I think I'm actually getting pretty close to the end, but this is where I talked about don't be afraid to defend heavy formations with this. This team, this quarterback was actually listed as a running back on their roster. They didn't have another quarterback on the roster. This kid was the running back on the roster, played inside linebacker for them. They were going to run the football. And so what we wanted to do is we didn't want to just have to line up in our base all night. And so what we felt like is we could get 9 guys in the box when they had, you know, a tight end or an H-back, or, you know, they did some what we call flex, where it's just some double wing stuff. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to try to match them in the box. And so, you know, we felt like we could match up with them on the edge, at corner, in man coverage. And so we felt like we had 9 dudes playing the run in the box. And so what you're going to see here is we actually slant weak, and we bring number 7 off the edge. And I guess we kind of guessed right because he made a really good tackle here. But again, we've got 9 guys in the box to stop the run. I feel like I can bring number 7 because I've got an extra guy in the run fit in that middle safety. So again, I mean, now our middle safety, I'd like to see him more downhill. But you can see this safety up there up top on the tight end, you know, how he gets down in the run fit. I mean, we're getting hats in the run fit, even though we're lining up where it doesn't quite look the same. Okay, again, another look here. This number 10 is our safety. And so he's man on this tight end. So when this tight end blocks, you can see he's running downhill to defend the quarterback sweep. We've got an extra hat on the quarterback sweep that, you know, we didn't expect to have. It's a good job. We thought it was quarterback sweep, and our corner does a good job of staying on his man and makes him throw the ball out of bounds and does a good job there. So again, we just felt like we had hats in the box. Here's, you know, 20 personnel set. Get a better job out of this middle safety here. I mean, he's like an extra linebacker for us right there. He is 100% an extra linebacker for us right there. So here's the double tight end set I talked about. You know, again, they're trying to run 4 verticals out of this formation, and we've got it covered. We're playing man. We're bringing the Sam backer. We get pressure. Great coverage by our corner down there too. I mean, that's a big play. That was a huge play in this game right here. 4th and 6, and this was, I think, right first drive of this, maybe second drive of the second half. I mean, it was huge for us right there. All right, so again, this team very, very, you know, multiple formation. We're playing this game here. We actually played our cover 2 look way more than we did man, just because they had some success on us with post routes, and so it gave us an answer to defend the post route. And you know, when they threw the ball out in the flat, we had a guy that was there. Here's a man look. Again, I put this clip on there because, you know, we make a quarterback make a very difficult pass with really very little teaching. You can see the front, we slant, we bring the Sam, but we have guys covered up. We have an extra guy, make a quarterback, make a tough throw. Okay, gonna be the same thing here. This is trips, we're playing man. This is where I talked about earlier. So number 3 that's lined up on their number 3, you know, that guy right there, that's our right safety. And then our left safety is the guy that's manned up on number 2. You can see what we were trying to do is we felt like that we could hold up. And if you notice number 24 right there on their midfield logo, he's there to fit the run game. I mean, we kind of told him, your job is you help us in the run game. He became that extra hat in the run game. So really we've got 7 dudes in there to defend the run box, which is what we felt like we needed at that point. But again, we do a good job. We're in the right position. Make the quarterback throw it over your head. Make the quarterback make a bad throw. Okay, again, this is on here just to kind of show you about the RPO game. Now, I'd like to see our Willie linebacker do a better job staying inside out. He gets too far over the top. But again, we're telling our defensive end, you're the dive defender. So as soon as he gets that down block, if you notice, he's chasing, he's playing the down block. We're telling that quarterback, you pull it. Okay, that's what we're telling that quarterback with the look we're giving him right there. Because we know we've got a dude right there to make that play. Again, I'd like to see him, you know, be in a better position, but we get the kid to the ground, stop him short of the first down, and we play the next play. Okay, again, I put this on here just because I talked about our spot drops, and number 7 does a great job. He's dropping to the hash. He sees that guy going vertical, even though it's a corner route. Just by him dropping to the hash and being in that quarterback's line of sight, that quarterback tries throwing it. He looks, he's got our corners kind of sinking, and he overthrows it to the point that that's basically a cover 2 safety making that interception. This was a big play at a big time for, you know, for our guys. We end up scoring that drive. Okay, again, we're slanting. This time we're slanting strong. We're bringing the Willie off the edge. We're slanting to an under front or you know, an eagle, weak eagle, or I guess strong eagle, whatever you want to call it. And we end up being in the right position to make a tackle for loss. And we're very simple in what we're teaching. All right, so I'm going to throw my contact information back up there. Here's my email address. It's coach, COACHGINN52 @gmail.com. Or again, it's Bethel High School, and we're actually in Shawnee, Oklahoma. I meant to type that on there. You know, guys, if I've got something that can help you, I mean, honestly, everything I have, I stole from somebody else. I'm so dadgum fired up with Brent Venables coming back to OU because 90% of what we do in our base package is what I stole from him, you know, when he was back here in the early 2000s. So, you know, anything I can do to help. I know sometimes the video on these doesn't come in as well as what we'd like. So, you know, I've got this saved as a playlist. I can send it. You know, I don't mind sharing anything. So anything you need, just feel free to reach out. And again, thanks, Nick, for getting me on. And I hope this is something that you can make a value to your subscribers.